One loving response to Jesus' example as a servant and his love for us is the service given through Orphan Grain Train. For over 25 years, the Orphan Grain Train movement has encouraged and enabled God's people to share material resources while bringing Christ's name and character to people across the world in need. First to orphanages in Latvia and Russia, but later spiritual help and humanitarian aid was expanded to reach hungry bodies and souls throughout the Third World. Wherever there is no hope, Jesus would come, through us and through you. It's not only in faraway places like Zimbabwe or Mongolia, Ecuador or Estonia that Orphan Grain Train has sent thousands of humanitarian shipments of food, clothing, medicine, school and health kits, blankets, and so much more. But also within our own nation, when weather crises, violent storms, floods, fires, or other domestic scarcity leave people urgent for water, shelter, and volunteers to bring the compassion of Christ, Orphan Grain Train has responded. Today, Orphan Grain Train has gone into 67 countries on 5 continents, bringing many otherwise hopeless children and families spiritual, emotional, and humanitarian aid. From Christians they will likely never meet until heaven. A dozen years ago, 330 semi-loads of hay and forage were sent to Midwest farmers suffering under devastating drought. An Orphan Grain Train semi-trailer has been converted to supply bunk beds in which disaster volunteers could rest while helping Texas flood victims. Hundreds upon hundreds of medical shunts were sent by one Orphan Grain Train branch to a St. Petersburg hospital, saving the lives of countless infants. These are only examples of the kind of aid God supplies through his people. Since 1992, there have been 26 regional branches of Orphan Grain Train established across the church from coast to coast, from California and Nevada through Kansas and Pennsylvania to Massachusetts. Orphan Grain Train has expanded from its beginnings in Norfolk, Nebraska. Until now, we have waited for God's time to establish a permanent branch presence in the state of Michigan. But we are confident that time has come. In the heart of the Michigan Thumb and Saginaw Valley, God is providing not only a concentration of wonderful congregations from which there is a strong human resource and volunteer potential, but as of this Easter, 2018, God has also supplied a work and warehouse facility which will be the home of Orphan Grain Train Michigan, located in Seeboing. How thrilled we are to have been gifted so generously by Sally Comer with this facility, a building which had been a solid family business here in Seeboing. But when she heard about Orphan Grain Train, she said, "It's yours." And we are so grateful to her and to her family. 8,000 feet for future work and warehousing. Show you around. Seeboing is geographically accessible to people throughout mid-Michigan. And it's pretty handy also to the international container shipping hub of Port Huron. In this Easter season, all the pastors of the regional circuit conferences of Thumb East and West, Bay City, Saginaw, Frankenmuth, and Midland unanimously adopted a resolution acknowledging and encouraging the new and first Orphan Grain Train initiative in Michigan to serve alongside so many others. Orphan Grain Train work is grounded in the promise of Jesus from John 14, "I will not leave you as orphans." As the mission statement of Orphan Grain Train states, sometimes that beautiful character of our Lord expresses itself in a word well spoken, sometimes as a bandage well applied, and sometimes as a child well fed. This is the mission of Orphan Grain Train. We are a Christian volunteer network shipping donated food, clothing, medical, and other desperately needed items to people in 67 countries, including the U.S. Our Michigan branch will have its own leadership team and targeted projects, but we will be integral to the international objectives pursued by Orphan Grain Train. 18 million meals have been sent, 3,000 shipments of humanitarian aid, 3.6 million man-hours given by volunteers. Orphan Grain Train is a recognized service organization of the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod and has often cooperated in projects with Lutheran Hour Ministries, LCMS World Mission, and others. 147 semi-loads of supplies to the Gulf Coast following Katrina, assistance to border missions, and to innumerable places across the globe, office equipment, household items, bicycles, books, tools, clothing, quilts, linens, Bibles, and Christian resource materials, heart monitors, hospital beds, baby warmers, ultrasound machines, school kits, school desks, hygiene kits, toys, sewing machines, and also adult and child PETs, personal mobility devices for those disabled. You know, God has so richly provided us with bounty and our families and communities beyond the imagination of many in the world. From the plenty God has given us, we may respond in service to others. God himself does not need our gifts and service, but many, many people he loves do need what we can give. And so we are praying God for Christ-minded, mission-hearted advocates, leaders, volunteers, donors, and servants to be part of the Orphan Grain Train movement and to pray with us for his blessings on all those whom we may serve.